Howdy folks and welcome. I hope this finds you well. There have only been a handful of games that have made me feel like I was truly part of the adventure. Uncharted, God of War, The Last of Us to name a few. All those titles and more perfected the blending of gameplay styles, unique visuals, incredible audio, and intriguing stories to create outstanding adventure games. I'm so excited to share with you my review of Indiana Jones and the Great Circle because it's exactly that, an outstanding adventure game and more. If you grew up watching the movies, within the first 10 minutes of the game, you'll know this was made with dedication and love to the originals. You can see that in the visuals, the gameplay, sound design, story, and so much more. So, let's get right into it.
You should have become a man of the cloth.
I found another calling.
We have to be careful. Il Duce has eyes and ears everywhere, even in the Holy City.
I don't usually start off with the audio for my reviews, but I think it'll set the tone for the rest of the video. Indiana Jones utilizes soaring classical scores akin to the John Williams original, with tense and dramatic interludes during tense stealth missions or during occult events.
Patton has been placed in the treasury of esoteric artifacts. We have to find this treasury, Gina. Maybe there's some clues in here. Fountain of Confession. Entrance to the sacred monastery of the Nephilim Order. There it is.
Whatever music is playing, it will make you feel like you're Indy himself. I seriously recommend playing with your best headphones, or if you have a suitable surround sound system, use that. I also was blown away by Troy Baker's impersonation of a young Harrison Ford. I mean, it was only until I looked up who was playing Indy in the game that I saw Troy's name. He was that good that I honestly thought it was Harrison Ford, somehow.
On next plane to Rome. Stop. Need help. Stop. Meet me in Vatican. Stop. Indy. Steps. Should be on the other side of this fortress.
And it's not just him. This might be the best voice-acted game I've ever heard. From other important characters during your journey, or the random priests in the Vatican.
Chi vi ha autorizzati a transennare quest'area?
Cosa vi importa?
Those were dark times. Unbearable without a good friend at my side. Follow me.
You truly feel like you're within the world while you sneak around various areas or disguise yourself to gain entry into restricted ones. Another noticeable voice was Voss, played by Marios Gavrilis. I hope I'm saying that correctly. If he doesn't give you the chills in every scene in this game, I don't know what scares you.
Huh? Jetzt amüsieren Sie mich aber, Oberst. So wie ein Dorftrottel die Leute mit seinen drolligen Marotten amüsiert. Ihre himmelschreienden Sünden stehen Ihnen buchstäblich ins Gesicht geschrieben. Widerwärtige Verbrechen gegen den Heiligen Geist.
Voss is an incredible villain and plays so well into the tropes from the movies as a clever but vulnerable villain. Now, there were some moments where sound would cut out, especially in the open world levels. The most noticeable was the Cairo mission when the train would not make any noise going past. But that was few and far between. The sound design for smaller details also deserves a lot of credit for making the player feel more connected to the game. Cracking Indy's whip to disarm guards, or taking an ancient walking stick and planking it on the back of a Nazi's head never got old, and always sounded super satisfying.
Keep your distance, pal.
Hab dich!
Mist! Dusselig!
Ja, du schaffst es! Ich sehe dich!
Switching pages on your journal or hearing the sand shift beneath your feet, the soundscape in this game was remarkable. Everything came together, just like the movies, to create an enjoyable experience throughout my adventure. And I keep saying adventure, which I truly mean. The story for the Great Circle brings you all over the world, exploring pyramids, catacombs, ancient libraries, and more. It takes place between the events of the first film, Raiders of the Lost Ark, and the third, The Last Crusade. If you haven't watched the movies, don't worry. There's a lot of references to them, but the game does an excellent job at explaining things well, and most of the references or callbacks aren't essential to the main plot. They just elevate it. This is a classic tale of hijinks, espionage, and of course, archaeology. The game starts you off at Dr. Jones's university where a break-in occurs and a valuable artifact is taken. With Dr. Jones' only clue leading him to the Vatican, it's up to Indy to solve the mystery of the cat mummy. Yet he and the player have no idea how deep this rabbit hole gets. I absolutely love the characters that you meet along the way, and it goes to show how much Indy has done for people in the past, even if he likes to think of himself as a solo adventurer. I don't want to go further into the story since that's the main draw of the game, at least I think so. I cannot stress this enough, it's like being part of the movies, but even better, it's the gameplay that shines through each part. I did not do any research before playing the game. I honestly thought this was going to be a third-person Nathan Drake wannabe. What I discovered was some well-designed level building, gameplay mechanics, and support systems for progression. What you have here is like a first-person adventure game, which oddly reminded me of Resident Evil 7 and 8, plus this third-person view when climbing ledges or using Indy's whip, that immediately had me going, whoa, that's a cool transition. I was blown away by how fluid the movement was in these portions, considering the change from first to third person. It did not feel jarring to me, it just had this great oomph to it, which made these areas even more exciting. The game design revolves around different areas. As I mentioned before, you'll be traveling to various spots in the world, but instead of a linear progression, they went for this interesting pseudo-open level. It reminded me so much of Dishonored, and played like it too. You can go guns blazing, and don't let anyone tell you Indy wasn't doing that in the movies. I rewatched last night and was happy to know that he has no qualms about killing evil henchmen. But in the later levels, enemies will have armor, and stealth will be a better option, at least sometimes. The open level design has so much going for it too, it's not just there for like players to waste their time walking around. I did mention Dishonored for a reason. The verticality that you get in the Vatican level made me a bit speechless, with so many avenues to get to your objectives or side quests, which the game beautifully renames as fieldwork. Traversing open excavation sites while stealthing through Nazis was thrilling in the Cairo sections. And for people who love to take their time with these types of levels, there are so many clues, notes, treasures, money, upgrades that you don't know what you got into. You can also change the gameplay difficulty at any time, making combat or puzzles easier or harder. Now, I truly recommend not having any help on the puzzles or using the camera sparingly. There were a bunch of times that I got stuck and loved the way they did tips. It's the small details like that which I truly appreciate. And oh my god, I haven't even mentioned the puzzles yet. I really enjoy the puzzles that the game presents, both in the main quest and the ones that you'll find randomly throughout the levels. I am no puzzle expert, but the feeling of accomplishment when I figured out the trick or the code cannot be understated. I was the adventurer. And all of these various gameplay mechanics melded so well together with a direction in terms of pacing which most games don't get completely right. It was almost perfect. When I felt like there was too much story happening, we got this amazing set piece. When I felt like there was too much action going on, we found ourselves needing to solve a puzzle. When puzzles got too numerous, we were back in the story. It was just outstanding and makes the player want to come back each time. And all of this I think would work even if the game had graphics from 2001. But holy hell, can we just applaud the design team that created this game? Like, let's get real here. I thought this was Unreal 5 and they had just bought assets or something. A sad occurrence that I see more and more nowadays in gaming. But I was so glad I was wrong, since the visuals in this game are by far some of the best I've ever seen in my gaming career. If you watch the channel and specifically watch my review of The Invincible, a game sort of like this one in terms of first-person adventure, I was floored by their interior design. What Machinegames did with the id engine is by far the best utilization of an engine I've seen, and gives me so much hope for what's to come. I mean, Elder Scrolls 6. Maybe they'll be using that engine and not the creation engine. At least I hope after playing this game. Indiana Jones famously deals with the occult, and honestly, traversing through these catacombs, you put a stick of magic in Indy's hand? Well, I have to be honest, I felt like I was in Tamriel again. Every visual detail from the notes you pick up, clothing people wear, backdrops of cities, is so well done that it made me search out for more documents as a gameplay mechanic. You have this Resident Evil item look, which is always fun to manipulate objects. Again, you can just see all the small details in these assets. Some of the interiors that you will be fighting through or sneaking around made my jaw drop. The lighting effects were also breathtaking when they worked. Side note, I do need to upgrade my PC because all these graphical updates and RTX, whatever, I can't nitpick on hardware errors. But for the most part, particle of light effects were great, and the shadows cast by your torch or lighter were incredible, unless you were transitioning from dark to light. Now, I don't know if this was a hidden load feature like opening doors by twisting the key, but it was pretty drastic to go from dark to light. Maybe they really wanted you to feel like your eyes weren't adjusted? That would be kind of crazy, right? All of these individual topics for the game shine, and then when you put them together, guys, gals, we have ourselves a true adventure game. One that you can enjoy playing with your young teenagers or challenge yourself on higher difficulties. What I mean is, this game has something for everyone. I'll end how I began. There are not a lot of games that make me feel like the adventurer. I'm so glad that the Great Circle joins that illustrious group, because it deserves it. Indiana Jones and the Great Circle shows what video games can be, what emotions they can evoke, and how much damn fun they can be when done right. Not only was this a well-orchestrated use of the IP, that I think it will be a catalyst for more of these games, a hint to Bethesda about what works, and a really interesting and great showcase of the id engine. Let me know what you thought of the game, if you had watched the movies and what it means to you. If you enjoyed the review, check out my channel. There's something there for everyone. I make sure of it. And as always, see you next time.
Hello, little darling. Oh. Look, Dr. Jones. He's quite sweet, really.
More of a dog person.